I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and Charles shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener, yes, dear listener. We are at the foothills of the imperishable flames.
We're here. We are here.
Get used to it.
Yeah, yep. We've got a lineup tonight for all of you. All right, you guys, we have the imperishable flames tonight. Who are we waiting for right now?
No one.
No one. Everyone of consequence has arrived. All right.
Everyone of consequence has arrived. Oh,
Okay.
That's incredible.
Ready?
Yeah, everyone of consequence. All you consequential people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, up first we have Ben's pick. And let me not forget to write down that timestamp.
Ben Bear is here. Mm-hmm. There he is, see? Look at him.
Yep. I see. Okay, so 5/14.
5/14.
Okay. So, what we have here is Paradise Lost, Serpent on the Cross. Ben says, before we go any further, we will bring back the Ask Vin and Sorry about the song before listening to it segment. Vin and Sorry, what do you think the song is about given your worldview? And the title of the song, Serpent on the Cross. From Paradise Lost, forthcoming album Ascension, September 19th, 2025. This is the newest single, Serpent on the Cross. When I first saw this, I was like, man, Vin and Sorry gotta get on this. Put on your analysis caps. Vin and Sorry official video, Village alternate link. You got that?
Yeah, I think Serpent on the Cross is probably, what's up, Negative, is probably going to be in reference to John chapter 3, where Jesus says to Nicodemus, as Moses lifted up the serpent, and all who look to it will live, so too will the Son of Man be lifted up, and all who look to him will live.
Yeah.
So, there's actually a story in the Bible where the children of Israel are complaining, they're griping, and so God sends a plague of serpents to come and bite them. And as they're dying, as the venom is starting to take hold, Moses says, everybody's going to die. And so God says, all right, make a bronze serpent and put it on a pole and hang it up. And everybody that looks to the bronze serpent will be healed of the venom. And so it's a very strange story in the Bible. It always used to disturb me.
Yeah, me too.
Later on, 1,000-something years later, Jesus says, as the bronze serpent was lifted up in the wilderness, and all who look to it will live, so will the Son of Man be lifted up, and all who look to him shall live. So That's why. That's what I'm assuming, but we shall see.
Yeah, that's where I would have gone with it as well.
All right, guys, here we go. Song numero uno.
Paradise Lost, Serpent on the Cross. Let's go.
We shall
Lyrics
see.
incoming, Vincent.
All right, guys, here we go. Song number one. Paradise Lost. Serpent on the cross. Let's go. this band really knows how to do melody
Yeah.
very, very well. Very, very well.
Open up the freezer door, and it's on the door where the ice goes. Okay. Excuse me for a second. Come here, Senny. Hurry up.
Stand by, guys. Stand by.
Wow. Your hair, you look like a maniac. Here you go. Let's say hi to Daddy.
Hi, Daddy.
Daddy's beside you, weirdo.
All right, get out of here. We have
Give
to
him a
work.
hug.
What are you doing?
All right.
Get him out of here.
Good night.
Get him out
Close
of
my
here.
door, please.
All right. As I was saying, this band does melody really, really, really good.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah, they do.
So what was going on with you there? You look like you was really
Yeah, I
enjoying the
was
song.
really enjoying it. I liked what they did with it, especially toward the end. Lyrically, I think we'll have to do a breakdown together. But this part, Unholy Resurgence, on the first chime, it's the last time your lonely soul will rot. That was like, I liked the chime, time, lonely soul will rot. I don't know, I just liked that part of it. But yeah, so for me, it was just the song itself kind of took you in. It was really beautiful. In a painful way.
What do you mean?
Like the song itself had pain to it. Like you could kind of like feel it. But I don't know what the lyrics really, what's going on
Ravaged
yet.
condition, the blood and tragedy, all God's creations, all willing on the streets you flood. With countless opposition, regale as others count the cost, prevail in deprivation, deluded righteous will fall before uncertainty of loss. Unholy resurgence on the first chime, it's the last time your lonely soul will rot. Such indecision, a sudden tragedy, defiant natured, unforgiving are the weeping ones. The lavished inquisition in vain, another fight was lost. With furious revelation, behold, the righteous will fall before the serpent on the cross. Yeah, I don't know if it's a breakup song as much as it looks like the first half is talking about, the sort of Christian ethos of, I think, meaningless suffering or needless suffering. Because it talks about regale as others count the cost, prevail in deprivation, deluded righteous will fall before uncertainty of loss. So right there where it says prevail in deprivation, like you're making deprivation and asceticism.
Is that, you're saying deprivation? It's the same word, just deprivation?
Yeah, you're just prevailing in being deprived of things. Mm-hmm. Deluded righteous will fall before uncertainty of loss. So it just looks like you're creating needingless suffering. You're making privation sound like something that's good, because this was kind of one of the criticisms of Mother Teresa, where there was suffering, there were people suffering, and she wouldn't get them medicine because she thought that the suffering was going to have sort of a purgative effect on the people that were suffering. So there's certain strands, I think, of Christianity where
Crazy.
Your suffering is looked upon as a virtue as an end in itself.
Yeah.
Not that you have mechanisms by which you can get through suffering, but suffering becomes an end in itself, it looks like. So, if you look
and it's crazy because, like, the Bible talks about every good and perfect gift, basically it says, comes down from the Father of lights or something like that. So, anytime, like, my kids are, like, enjoying something that they like, I'm like, this is good, right? And they'll be like, yeah. And then I'll be like, that's how you know this is from God. This is good. So I'm trying to get them, like, deeply connected with the idea that everything that's good comes from Him. So when you're looking at, like, this idea of, like, prevailing in deprivation and, like, you're supposed to, like, there's some sort of godliness or spirituality in... Remember, they talked about, which book of the Bible talks about, they deny the Bible, not the Bible, they deny their bodies, they deny...
Yeah, it's Colossians. We're talking about the Gnostics
Colossians.
who are hyper-ascetics.
Yeah.
Who, do not handle, do not taste, do not touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these these do not give them the power to overcome their own, sexual proclivities or whatever Paul says. But, it's one of those things where there is, to some degree, a primer on deprivation in Christianity in the sense of fasting. Fasting is a practice of self-imposed privation, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not partaking in something that you could partake in for your enjoyment and, nourishment, etc. For a greater good for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So there is a sense in which you should deprive yourself of things, but there's a bunch of reasons for that. Mm-hmm. But it's never an end in itself. I mean, it's one of the interesting things about our culture where people decry capitalism and they decry consumerism, but at the same time they say each and every impulse you have within yourself, you should satisfy it, otherwise you're not being true to yourself. So it's like, well, which is it?
Yeah.
Should I be the ultimate consumer and consume as much as I possibly can and want, or should I be mindful and deprive myself of things for a greater principle?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like there is some overlap in our culture. Obviously, right now, fasting is a really, really big thing, and a lot of that has to do with your physical appearance, and there are also health benefits to that. But you got these people advertising 18-hour fasts and things of that nature, and talking about all the physiological benefits that go along with fasting. So it's like, okay, so now that culturally speaking, it's okay to fast. Now we can talk about fasting in a regular sense, and nobody's going to say, "Oh, you're depriving yourself, or you just love to suffer." So it's one of those things where I'm like, I'll give you a 50% on that. I do think there are some Christians that make deprivation and suffering an end in itself and missing the ultimate point, but I don't think that the entire religion is categorized as that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, yeah, we have fasting in our religion, but it's a focus also on, it's deprivation for the greater good. There's something greater that you're saying, okay, I'm going to put this aside because there's another thing out there that I think that, anything great usually comes with some sacrifice. So it's sort of that understanding that, okay, that's really great over there and I'm willing to set this meal to the side to really put focus in on that. But I don't, that's such an interesting when you said it, it kind of threw me off for a second when you were like, yeah, fasting is like a big thing right now, because I was like, where are you going with this? Is this going to be like the Gaza thing? Is this like people, have I not heard about something? And then for you just to say like, it's, to get a certain body, people will fast, but not to change. But a lot of people don't believe that prayer changes bigger things, but they'll fast.
Well, it's very fascinating is all these practices are now have a secular version of them. So now instead of like, we used to talk about meditating on scriptures and getting your quiet time. That's what we came up with as 90s youth groupers, even though I wasn't in groupers. Was your quiet time. You need to get quiet time. And now you have people talk about meditation.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's that yearning for that spirituality. So now we have a secular reason for fasting. We have secular meditation. It's like, okay. And now they're praying. And instead of praying, what they say is, oh, we're putting out our intentions to the universe.
Yeah.
It's like, that's called praying.
Yeah.
That's when you put out, hey, universe, i.e. God, but we're not going to say God, because if we believe in God, he might have to tell us how to live. We don't want that. So we say, hey, universe, I want to be this. Mm-hmm. And so they go, I'm throwing it out, and then I'm going to manifest it, which is just another way of saying that the universe, i.e. God, answered their prayer. So, like, they're smuggling in all this spirituality now, which is not really the point of the song, but I did think it was kind of funny. But if you go from the whole, prevail and deprivation thing, if you look at the next stanza, it says, the lavished inquisition. So it's kind of like a historical timeline. Initially, the church was like down under and downtrodden and whatever, and so prevail in deprivation. Mm-hmm. And then we got some power up to the point of and look, the lavish the lavished Inquisition. Which was something instituted by the Christian Church, right? Was the Inquisition. So you went from, you've got this hyper asceticism over here where it's like, oh, you're just prevailing in deprivation. But then later on, you get some power or whatever, and now you're in this lavish state, and what are you doing? You're imposing an Inquisition. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, no matter what happens, this group of people are wrong.
Jeez.
In vain, another fight was lost with furious revelation. Behold, the righteous will fall before the serpent on the cross. Which, in a world that tells us we should always be doing more, sitting still can be an act of rebellion, the ultimate rejection of a culture that tells us our values tied to our productivity. Right.
Yeah.
I like that quote. And so, like, that's where, like, the sort of the hermetic, sort of meditative strand of Christianity, that's what the Desert Fathers, I think, were trying to accomplish. Was it was a living example, not for everybody to get up and go off into the desert and swear off everything and live off water, but it was a way to say, you don't need any of these things in order to be happy or find ultimate fulfillment. These things, like you've got a meat suit, you've got to fuel the meat suit, but you don't need these things. So you don't need to be completely and totally dominated by capital or even your bodily urges in order to live a fulfilled life. And so that is the object lesson you're supposed to get out of those people. And obviously a life like that has a distinct effect on capitalism, obviously, and consumerism. So there's a cynical way to look at everything, and then there's a charitable way to look at everything. But obviously right here where it says, in vain another fight was lost with furious revelation, behold, the righteous will fall before the serpent of the cross. I think that is probably ironic, because the righteous there would be essentially inquisitors marching under the banner of the cross, but it says that they're going to fall. You know, born the first in line, the good die as the bad die, forged as a last shrine, as a lasting shrine, the good die never denied. The good die as the bad die is kind of a quote of Ecclesiastes, where the author says that the rich and the poor return to the dust, the mighty and the weak return to the dust, the righteous and the wicked return to the dust, all is vanity, etc. So it's a very interesting line, because I'm like, yo, why is this guy quoting Solomon? But at the end of the day, I think it has to do with, you know, at the end of the day, your philosophy is going to lead to the exact same place, which is you're going to die. Which is why it says, like, when the clock strikes, that's it, you're dead. Like, there's no coming back. It's gonna happen for one time as your soul begins to rot or whatever. It's like, you get one chance at this life, that's it, you're not coming back, none of this resurrection stuff. So it's kind of like a precautionary tale, like, yo, be careful about what ideology and philosophy you hold to, because, you know, whatever you hold on to and whatever you dedicate your life to, you're not coming back. So you better make sure it's the right one. That's what it looks like to me. And it doesn't look to me like he believes that the Jesus way of looking at life is the way, because he talked about the serpent on the cross, which I don't believe he's taking in a John chapter 3 sense, where Jesus is where the serpent is going to provide healing just by a look. You know, the path of a righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Yeah, shout out to Reservoir Dogs. That's a quotation from Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
What did you give this song?
Boy, I liked the sound, especially like the beginning. If it sounded like female vocals to me, where there was like just that harmony that was going on at the beginning, and then especially the ending of the song, I really like that too. So it's gonna have to be a high one. I'm gonna have to go with a 9.8. I feel like I always give Ben's picks 9.8s.
I'm gonna give this one a solid 9.2. It's a lot more I felt like he could have done lyrically. Maybe I was looking for some Nergal level lyricism if you're gonna take an image like that. Good lord, there's so much you could have done.
9.8 for me. Paradise Lost, Serpent on the Cross. Let's see. So we were wrong about what we thought that one was going to be about. You set us up, Ben. I believe that you
Oh, he
knew.
said without the video, it's not as good.
Oh, shoot. I forgot to play it. And I had it all ready, too. Damn. What do you want to do here?
All right, what's song number 2?
Song number 2, Graceless. This is another one of Ben's picks. It's called 9 Days of Mourning. Give me that
Oh my
timestamp.
god, 9 days
Yeah.
of mourning. Here we go. All right, so let's just do 30 even.
30 even. Oh, that makes it simple. All right. So he says, I recently discovered this band through the old YouTube algorithm. Their new album that came out on May 30th, 2025 impressed me a ton. Mostly old school death metal. These Dutch death metalers definitely know how to deliver a dirge. I ended up buying there was a lot of D's there. I ended up buying their main full-length album discography. This song is not from their latest album, but instead from their 2023 album, Where Vultures Know Your Name. Not to be confused with Rivers of Nahel. No, how do you say it? Ooh. Where Owls Know Your Name. Who knows? Maybe an extreme metal band will make an album called Where Pigeons Know Your Name. Truly the most metal bird of all time. Smiling face. There will definitely be more songs from this band on this channel that are more up to tempo and typical Ben banger, but I felt this to be a good follow-up for Vin and Sori to dissect after the previous song. This is 9 Days of Mourning by Graceless, who hail from Holland. And we are going to... Oh, shit.
All right, guys, here we go. Graceless, they hail from Holland.
Yes, they do.
I don't think we've ever heard this band before.
Graceless? Yeah, I don't feel like we have either, but I don't know for sure.
All right, guys, here we go. Graceless, a band from Holland. We are Vin and Sori, a band from America. What you know about that? 9 Days of Mourning. Let's check it out. Let's go. Lyrics.
Wait, he didn't do that ending. Redeemer, Gehenna's home to me.
He did.
He did?
Yeah, he just repeated this one at the end, but he did say it. Okay. What'd you think of that one?
I mean, it sounded really good. It got really heavy at parts.
That one.
The vocal style was completely like dark and raw and desperate. What were you gonna say?
Waldo said, "No furniture is safe." That's some
I mean,
that's some hard Dark Night of the Soul shit.
yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother about, like, you know, metal in the community, because, like, he's a hip-hop head from day one. So I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, the metal community seems a lot more in tune with God than the rap we came up with. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because rap has a veneer of religiosity on the outside of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll have people that'll have, like, a cross necklace and they'll spend, like, 50 grand on it or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, there's this, like, literal veneer of religiosity and Christianity and things like that. Or they'll talk about God, you know, they'll give a nod to God or something like that. But it's on the outside, it's surface level. Whereas metal will project being against God, but simultaneous to that, they will write things that they don't understand is also found in the Bible. People going to God and saying, "Why have you abandoned me? What did I do wrong? If it's going to be like this, then leave me alone." This is not the rebellion that they think it is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's more of an authentic wrestling with God versus what you find a lot in rap and hip hop, which is like the surface level sort of acknowledgement of God.
Yeah.
But doesn't really reflect a lot of wrestling and fighting, which is what you see more in the biblical narrative. People wrestled with God. The good guys did. The good guys didn't accept certain answers from God. They kept pressing and pushing and saying, "No, what about this?" Mm-hmm. And so the metal community is...
And, you know, one of them even saying, like, basically, like, "God, just, like, leave me alone so I can have some days of peace." Like, yeah, they said some really interesting things to God, and it's recorded on purpose, like, for us.
Yeah, so it's this is something like you would see in the... I mean, some of this stuff is directly quoting the Psalms.
Yeah.
"Why have you forsaken me," which is at the beginning, at the end of the song, is an actual psalm quoted in the scripture.
Yeah.
It starts out in Psalm chapter 22, verse 1. It starts out, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
Yeah.
It starts out that way. And of course, Jesus says this on the cross in the Gospel of John, where he says, he quotes that song, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Mm-hmm. And so that line about being forsaken, which was obviously popularized by System of a Down, which did a really interesting take on it, because System of a Down flipped
the biblical... Chop Suey you're talking about?
Yeah, it flipped the biblical narrative, because in the song he says, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Mm-hmm. Then he says, "Why have you forsaken me?" Mm-hmm. Which in the biblical narrative, it's absolutely flipped. He first says, "Why have you forsaken me?" And then afterward he says, "Into your hands I commit my spirit," which makes all the difference in the world. Because the last thing Jesus says is not that he was forsaken by God. The last thing Jesus says is that he's going into the presence of God. Mm-hmm. So that's vastly important. You know, up until that point in the narrative, we believe he literally absolutely was abandoned by God. Mm-hmm. Because the scripture says that Christ became a curse for us. Mm-hmm. And the very first curse is to be out of the Garden of Eden, or later on, as you see with Cain, it says Cain left the presence of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Being away from God's face is the worst possible situation you could be in. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the benediction is, "May the Lord be gracious to you," right?
Yeah.
and then it says, may the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. And so right there, God's face and God's presence are basically synonymous ideas. And so for God to abandon you in that mindset, in that universe, was a fate worse than death. It's worse than dying. And what's fascinating is the person in this psalm that starts off saying, why have you forsaken me, has his hands and feet pierced, and people are gambling for his clothing, and he's laid in the dust of death, it says. So he's laid in the dust of death, and then for some strange reason, it says he hasn't abandoned his servant, he's gonna be okay, and then it says, all the nations will gather and worship God because of this person. People who couldn't keep themselves alive will worship God because of this person. It's a very, very interesting story, but for the context of this passage, he's saying, why have you abandoned me? Liar, I bled for days.
Yeah.
That's a crazy line.
Yes, it is. Yep. That part stuck out to me as well. Like you're talking about, like the abandonment of Jesus on the cross. But then we also have in the New Testament where he says, look, deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow after me. And so there's this idea in Christian theology that Jesus died for your sins on the cross, but that then your life is almost lived out in a way that is reflecting that you also died. So like there's something different, like you're living for something different. And it's like that different. So when he says, Savior, why have you abandoned me? Liar, I bled for days. That to me it was like so real, because it's that, you hear a lot of Christians, even, one of our kids right now is having a sort of crisis in that way as well, where it's the abandonment or that feeling that you get when God doesn't speak back to you, or you feel in this confused place or sort of lost and he doesn't come find you. And you feel like, well, I'm doing what I can to get there. How come you're not meeting me? Like, I can't get there if you don't come and get me. And so when he says, why have you abandoned me? And then he says, liar, I bled for days. That was such a crazy thing, because I do think that there's certain places that we get in where it feels like you're so abandoned by God that he has to be a liar for the things that he said. But, it's not usually until the other side of those things. Sometimes here, before we die, we recognize the value of certain sufferings or abandonments. But, yeah, I think that we don't always see all of them here.
Chris says, do you think he means he feels like he's in Gehenna, or he deserves to be in Gehenna, or he belongs in Gehenna, or it feels like he's in Gehenna as in his situation? When he says Gehenna is hell, so Gehenna is another way to talk about hell. Right, it's originally the Valley of Hinnom, where there was a lot of fire because these people were sacrificing their own children, that type of thing. So Gehenna is a picture of fire. It's a Greek term that's used, that gets translated a lot for hell in your New Testament Bible. So
isn't that the place outside the city that they would light?
The Valley of Hinnom, Gehenna, yeah.
So
yeah. So it's associated with fire, the trash dump, all that stuff. The worm doesn't die.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
And the worm doesn't die because there's always trash there. There's always refuse for the maggots to eat, etc. It's just a picture of constant death, destruction, and you are outside. He's saying Gehenna is his home. I think what he means is he's probably... And I agree with this. I think people experience hell and heaven before they die. I think that what happens when you die is that the gate that you're in gets closed, meaning you get confirmed in wherever you are. So hell as a psychological state, I think the people that are going to inhabit hell forever are already inhabiting hell right now, and the people that are going to go to heaven already have pieces of heaven right now here on earth. That when you die, it's going to get confirmed both ways because you've made your choice. And so I think that he's saying that he's in hell now. We don't know how this guy's story is going to end. we don't know how this guy's story is going to end, Chris. So I don't know if he's going to end up there or if he's going to say, like David, it was good for me that I went under tribulation so I might learn your law. Mm-hmm. There's just certain aspects of life and certain aspects about God that you cannot learn unless you go through some difficulty. And I think that's a hard message for people to understand, but I do think that that's one of the things that gives Christianity such a leg up on religions, because I always go back to this. One of my friends asked me at the beginning of the channel, he says, why can't God just forgive us for our sins? Why does Jesus have to die such a brutal, horrible, bloody death? Mm-hmm. And this is one of the reasons why. Because you have horrible situations in life that literally take the blood out of you. Like literally, physically, or psychologically. And I literally have a God who said, yeah, you bled, I bled too. You know, special about you bleeding, bro? I bled too. And like, that's crazy to say. I understand, like, the opportunity that Christians have to be able to say, my God bled too. Or if I'm praying and I'm looking at my arm and I go, oh man, I cut my arm to shreds when I was a kid. And to hear God say, yeah, my arms were cut to shreds too. Mm-hmm. Like I'm with you. Mm-hmm. And you have very disturbing passages like, see, I have carved your name on my hands. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, you got like Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton had this very uncomfortable public relationship where they would do all types of crazy shit. That's one time, like, she used to walk around with this red vial everywhere. This little red vial around her neck or whatever. And finally, somebody asked her about it. It turned out that they had, like, taken each other's blood and put it in a vial, and they were both, like, exchanging it, walking around Hollywood being rich and strange. You know what I'm saying? Like, just weird stuff where you're like, ah. And you have God saying, I've carved your name into my hand. I've carved you into my hands. Like, can a mother forget the child at her breast? Even if she could forget, I will not forget you. See, I've carved your name in my hand. Like, I'm not going to forget you. That is an insane word picture. It's like, God, like, what's, like, you guys, you're on some, God's on some Angelina Jolie shit. Like, yo, just relax. I ain't got to be that extreme. Like, just say you love me and give me a hug. You ain't got to do all that. And then he goes, oh, but I do. And then he goes to the cross and he literally in his hands, right? And so I'm like, whoa. To be able to actually say that and believe that, like, is a crazy, crazy privilege. That if you can believe that, if you can believe that God did that, and on top of that, that your God specifically did that, and then on top of that, your God specifically did that for you. Mm-hmm. Which is how I read that passage when he says, I've carved your name on my hands. Like, that's the ultimate fulfillment of that is the cross, because he was thinking about me and it had to happen for my sake. Mm-hmm. And if I was the only one on the planet, he would have done it. And so it's like, whoa, man, when I'm dealing with situations like this, me personally, I no longer have these kinds of discussions with God. Like, how could you leave me? That type of thing. Because of that, like, that's how deeply the cross has impacted me. That and a couple experiences I've had, you know, in praying or whatever. So I don't ask those questions anymore. But I do think that it is amazing that those questions are asked from Genesis to Revelation, all through your Bible. Mm-hmm. God is comfortable with those questions, and he's so comfortable with those questions that in the narrative he says, that is such a valid argument. That one of the 8 million reasons I have to come down to earth is I have to experience what life is like in a sinful world in a real tangible way. I have to let the ramifications of sin wash over me just like they do with everybody else. Because that, why have you abandoned me, is a legitimate argument from the people. And so he comes down and does it. It's one of the 8 million trillion reasons Jesus came down here. So I think it is a massively powerful statement. I think it's a massively, massively powerful. Hey, what's up, Applejack? I think that's pretty crazy.
I think also, like, the ending, there's two ways, or probably many ways that you could read it. But when he says, betrayer, why have you forsaken me? Redeemer, Gehenna is home to me. It could be that he's saying, you know, he's calling God a betrayer, and he's saying, why did you forsake me? Like, and he's having that sort of, again, like the abandonment thing going on. But then he says the word redeemer, and that could be in the, like, there's still something in him that is like, because if he's calling God a betrayer, that means that he feels that God should have done something for him that he did not do. Mm-hmm. And so that means he has some sort of issue going on or misunderstanding going on about what it is that God is doing. And so when he says, why have you forsaken me? It's interesting because you think that like the Jesus going to the cross gives him perspective into like what it's like to be us. But it's really like there is the other side of it, that when you go through things in life where you feel like you're taking up your cross and you're following after him, or you're feeling that forsaken feeling, but you know, ooh, Jesus was feeling that forsaken feeling on the cross. Like, it's crazy that God gives us opportunities to be able to almost go back in time and to experience something or to understand something about the holiness and the craziness of what Jesus did on that cross. So, you know, there's that side of it where it's like, okay, yeah, the betrayer feeling, the forsaken feeling, we're supposed to understand that's what was going on that cross, and that was one of the things that he did, you know, for us. So when dude says redeemer at the end, and then he says Gehenna is home to me, it sounds to me like he's saying, in the one side, like there is still, like, he's still calling out for a redeemer. It's like this sort of like, people will say, you know, I basically just said, look, God, if you're there, then I'm going to need you to X, Y, and Z thing. I'm going to need you to come through for me. So it's almost like their last ditch effort to say, like, look, if you just happen to me, I don't want to, in case I'm wrong, let's do this exchange again. Mm-hmm. But it seems like he's saying, when he says redeemer, to me, that was like, I don't know if you are, but in the event that you are, because I still feel like you betrayed me, if you decide to switch that up and actually come for me, then he says Gehenna is home to me. I think that he's almost accepting his fate of where he is, like this acknowledgement of feeling abandoned. But sometimes after you get to that point, just beyond that is the realization of what that abandonment was doing in you, or, you know, what there is to gain from those moments. But yeah, when you're in them, they're extremely difficult. So I kind of saw the ending as sort of a hopeful thing, you know, Redeemer, Gehenna is home to me. It was,
yeah. The irony in biblical theology is that nobody who still has the mind to feel abandoned by God is abandoned by God. The people who are actually abandoned by God are the people that don't care about being abandoned by God. Those are the only people that are genuinely abandoned by God. The people who still feel enough anger to say, you've abandoned me, you betrayed me, they're in really good shape. Only friends betray people, right? So you're saying we were once friends and you betrayed me. That's what you're saying if you say that God betrayed you. Good. I don't think it's good that you're in a bad situation, but I do think it's good that you still are using these highly covenantal and philological terms to describe your relationship with God. Even if God has done things or allowed things to happen that you feel violate that friendship or violate that kinship, the fact that a person is still saying that means that they're in pretty good shape. There are people, I believe, who are abandoned by God, but those people genuinely do not care. They would never say things like God betrayed them, and they'll never say things like God abandoned them, because they're so far removed from God that that's not a factor to them. So if that's still a factor to you and you're still mad at God for betraying you, that is really good news. I'm very glad to hear it.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like when somebody makes like a breakup song where they're like, I don't care about that person anymore. I don't even think about them, but the entire song is about them.
Right. You
know, one of those situations.
Yeah. You probably think this song is about you. Yeah, God, you probably think this song's about you. You're so vain.
Oh my
Oh my God.
All right. Ben's pick up next is
Well,
Messa.
what do you give it?
Oh, whoops.
What's wrong with you?
Oh my God. I thought that I had rated it.
I like this song much better than the previous song. This one's getting a 9.5 for me. 95% as the big homie would say.
9.8 again for me.
Do you think God turned away from Varg? No. Are you talking about the racist dude that killed his buddy from death or whatever? What is his name? No. I think Varg is still alive, isn't he? So I don't think God has turned away from Varg yet. You know. But my assumption, I don't have people around me that know much about Varg, so I can't tell you exactly what I think about Varg, but in general, no. Alrighty then.
You scared me.
Song number 3 is Messa.
Yep, give me that time.
You go with the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your score? Is it 3.5?
No, what?
I'm talking to
Oh.
Dwayne. You have any space over there? Can you move along?
No.
Okay.
I mean, listen.
Yeah. I'm looking right now.
Okay, here we go.
I'm looking at timestamps, Ben. Don't worry about it.
Okay, up next is Messa. How would you say this? Orphales?
Orphales.
So Ben says, because I know Vin and Sori really want to hear more Messa. From Messa's 2022 album Close, this is track 3. How did you pronounce it?
Orphales.
Orphales. When we last did Messa, this is what happened. Okay, let's check it out. All right, so did you have that?
I do have it. What's up, Taffer?
Okay,
Good to see you,
so
baby.
we're gonna get a little bit again of the reaction, I believe.
Oh, we get the reaction.
I think so.
Oh,
A little
we're
bit of our reaction,
We're
and
reacting to our own reaction.
then into
Wonderful,
the song,
wonderful,
and I'm
wonderful.
sending you the lyrics as
Into
well.
the song. Wonderful. All right, guys, here we go. Messa Orphales with featuring Vin and Sori. Let's try it again. No, it's us again. That'd be the next song.
Oh shit!
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, whoa, these guys are like, oh man, look at this transition. Ah!
This man, Ben, this is a good pick. I really like this one.
Yeah, shout out to Ben. Okay, so this was doom metal.
I definitely had the doom influence, but her vocals, like, they had that, the song itself had that. Okay, when it first started.
I think the song has returned. That was one of our favorite bands,
Yep.
Messa.
That vocal style is just so pretty. It's like a little bit haunting, a little bit eerie, but very clear. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so lyrically, I kept thinking I knew what was going on. At first, I thought that she was talking about, pressure to be adequate made me wander. So I thought that she was saying, because that could be wander or it could be wonder. Mm-hmm. But I went with wander. And so it was this pressure to be something is actually what made her decide to just go out and start trying different things because because I think it was too much to be under the pressure of being adequate. And then she said vision sustained and shattered my mind. So at that point I wasn't sure if she was saying that she sustained her vision because she wasn't under that pressure anymore, but at the same time something ended up shattering her mind in that interaction. So that's what I figured. I still had a bead on it. Mm-hmm. Then I went down to Crossing of Swans, and I was thinking about like a swan song, which is like your comeback song. So when it said Crossing of Swans, I thought that that was
Swan
her
song
way.
your last song? Isn't that like the end?
Well, I thought that it was this is my swan song, get back my life song, prove I'm all right song. So I had that's from another lyrics.
Oh,
so
I thought Swan Song meant it was that was your last thingamajiggy.
Maybe they were using Swan Song in that other song that I heard, but my understanding of Swan Song is your comeback song. Like your last one, but your comeback.
Okay.
But I don't know. You could be right. So when it said Crossing of Swans, open gate, that to me was like it was like completely open. Crossing of Swans, open gate, growing wonder, walking on air, forgetting the ground. Like, okay, so then they sounded like they'd really turned something around. But then air's unstable, she's unstable, but she is everywhere, and I'll let you be, sword before me. It was beautiful sounding, and like it just seemed very poetic. I just didn't know like what for sure we were talking about. And definitely by the last little chunk there, I was not sure.
She's always talking about like the pressure she feels, being in the band, having to produce, being in the band, having to sing well, day in and day out, that type of thing. So the pressure to measure up and to be adequate made her wander from her, her original goal, the vision that she wants to sustain, and shattered her mind. I was talking to my brother about this because he's got a dream job, and then within his dream job, he's got a dream posting within his job.
Middle thing, it's your explanation of Swan.
Yeah, equals a farewell or final appearance, action or work. Yeah, I figured.
Okay, so you were saying, so your brother has the perfect job.
Yeah, he's got a dream job, and then within the dream job, he's got a dream posting, and then we've got a dream job. And he was talking about, some of the exigencies of the job and saying, like, it's a dream job, and it's like, I talked about, like, being a YouTuber and the competitive nature of being a YouTuber and the jealousy that happens with YouTubers, the life that people think that you have as a YouTuber, and the fact that you don't work as hard as them, when in reality, a lot of times you find yourself working all day. You find yourself being on the clock all day. But it doesn't manifest itself in like direct labor, as in how we traditionally look at labor. And I've done the corporate thing. I've done other exotic kinds of jobs, and then I've done this, so I know the difference. I'm not saying that working a corporate job is, or working YouTube is just as challenging or as consuming as working a corporate job, but it's not a bed of roses either, and you have to have a certain kind of mindset and makeup to be able to continue to do it and do it successfully. So it's like the pressure to be to be adequate, to be consistent, to do a good job, things of that nature. When you're in a performance arts type situation, is very difficult. Like if you have a bad day at work as a teacher, like no disrespect to teachers, but if you have a bad day at work as a teacher, it's like your 11 to 20 students see your bad day, right? Whereas if you're in a performative aspect where it's more to the public type of thing, if you have a bad day in public, like that's it, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, what were you saying?
I don't remember.
Yeah, pressure to be adequate, that hits deep, Chris Johnson. So yeah, dude, like, and a lot of people feel that way in their relationships, with their parents, the job, like those are all, and a lot of people. It's weird. I was listening to somebody who's talking about a billionaire, and the guy was talking about, I think it was Elon, and he was saying, look, this guy has a mental illness. Like the consistent drive and the never enoughism and the fact that he always has to do something else. The person was saying, it just so happens that this guy's mental illness gets celebrated because it generates him a bunch of revenue. I thought that was a very interesting way to look at it. I'm not sure that he's completely right on that. But I do think it's an interesting paradigm to look at. Like, the feeling of, because the fear of inadequacy drives a lot of successful people. There's a lot of people where that fear is what puts the coal in the engine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a big one for me when I was first starting out my career, for sure. Like the feeling of being an inadequate provider and things of that nature to my kids and my wife at the time. Like, yeah, that was a major fear that was driving me. And like, I think that's fine initially, but I think that, you're supposed to grow out of that as time goes on, and as you start to figure life out, you're supposed to get progressively more secure in what you are. And okay, I've seen this before, that type of thing. But there are certain businesses and industries where you can never do that, because the minute you get secure, that gets conflated with complacency, and you get replaced. That happens with YouTubers. Like, if you're not putting shit out there consistently, the algorithm be like, okay, that's fine. You're competing with like another 80 million people. They're gonna post.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when we first started, it was like the early days, man. If you didn't post every day, forget it. And I was crazy about it. I was working another job, and I was doing this, and I was absolutely crazy, like to the minute about it, like. So like you get into these industries where like you get easily replaced, and it's very, very difficult to remain sort of with your head on straight. You feel extremely inadequate. For sure. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had put out at the beginning what I thought the song was about, but I wasn't, completely clear on it. So I wanted to hear what you had to say about it. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
What did you give the song?
I give this one I'm gonna go with a 9.4 on this one.
This one is gonna get a solid 9.3 from me. We need streams every day. Type 22 if you want streams every day, dear listener. I don't think the people want it, Dwayne. I haven't seen a lot of 22, so it be what it be. Nobody wants streams every day, Dwayne. What did you give it?
Jeez, I don't know. I think I gotta go I'm going with a 9.6.
All right, I'm gonna give this joint a 9.3. 9.3. Shout out to all the Twitterati. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Do it.
Was that Ben's triplet? That was Ben's triplet.
Yep.
Ben's triplicate.
Bang, bang, bang. All of that was Ben.
As they say.
We are now moving on to Miserybiz.
Miserybiz.
For Ben. Okay. Devenial verdict.
Devenial verdict.
I have become the sun.
That sounds very interesting to me.
This Finnish avant-garde death metal band's sophomore album from last year has been on heavy rotation on my playlist. I chose the opening track, I Have Become the Sun, to represent the album. All right, let's check it out. Miserybiz.
Shout out to Miserybiz.
Yep.
All right, here we go. I have
heavy
become
rotation. All right.
The sun. Heavy rotation, you say. We'll be the judge of that. Devenial verdict. I have become the sun, dear listener. Let's check it out. It's very freaking unsettling. Holy hell.
gosh.
Controller in this bitch. What's up, controller? Good to see you, baby. Happy Friday.
Didn't that have like a sort of spacey sound to it?
It did.
While at the
It
same
did.
time, it still had like the vocal style of like a graveyard.
Yeah, they were definitely doing something different there, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I love the guitar work. The guitar work was really futuristic, like almost like poppy at some level, but it was subtle. It wasn't like continuous and overpowering with all the sugar like I do when I put my stuff up there. But yeah, I love the instrumentation in this song. Like I kind of let myself. This is one of those songs where I kind of like let the instrumentation take over prior to the to the lyrical stuff. Shout out to the big homie controller. Here we go. All right. So let's see. 10,000 dreams, 10,000 screams.
So my stab at it is that we're talking about like, like once the world ends and people are gone. 10,000 dreams, 10,000 screams, post-human stars, inhumane scars. So, what do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's probably that.
Remember, the name of the song is "I Have Become the Sun."
Yeah, and the sun is eventually going to go into heat death and do a supernova and consume us all, which I think is the idea here. 10,000 dreams, 10,000 screams, and then it's 1,000 years. I am the fire made flesh. I have become the sun. So it looks like that's the apocalyptic situation. Not so much God's intervention, but just the sun going into heat death and then consuming everything around it. And so I have become the sun is another way of basically saying I have become death, because that's pretty much the death of our system if the sun were to go into supernova.
Right.
And it's also interesting because, the whole we're made of stardust thing.
Yeah.
So if our sun, which is our star, explodes, you would have post-human stars because we are stardust. So we would be
post-human stars, yeah.
Right, because we would return back to stardust.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
You would think if we got evaporated by the sun, so we would become once again, stardust, and we would be post-human in that sense. So that's some smart lyricism right there.
Yeah.
You got it? Smart lyricism.
So when he says an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, that I remember people saying that, filling that in, like that ending part.
Yeah.
And not really thinking, is that really true? But that is absolutely true. When you start seeing like just how difficult it is to actually put down your sword, how difficult it is to turn the other cheek. Like, it's much easier to go after somebody the same way that they went after you to make them pay for what they did to you. So an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. If it just keeps going back and forth, yeah, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. So just hearing it in this song kind of like just re-brought that up to my mind.
That's always such an interesting idea to me. Because it depends on what angle of the street you're looking down.
Okay.
When it comes to the eye for an eye situation. A lot of people look at that as pure revenge. You did this to me, I'm going to do this to you. When in reality, the original law was designed to curb our instinct to go overboard. So, for example, there's this guy in the Old Testament, his name is Lamech, and it's like right at the beginning of the book of Genesis. And basically, he's rapping about how he killed somebody for stepping on a shoe, essentially. And so he ends up killing this guy for stepping on a shoe. And so you can see right there where it's like, this guy committed an offense to you, sure. And you went completely overboard in your application of quote-unquote justice.
Yeah.
There's another situation where a girl gets sexually assaulted, and the girl's brothers, in response to this sexual assault, go and massacre the entire village of the men there. And that is portrayed as exceeding the limits. That's portrayed as a bad thing in the narrative. And so the goal of Eye for an Eye is to say, no, you don't get to slaughter an entire village because this person violated your sister. No, you do not get to kill somebody for stepping on your shoe, right? Like, whatever is done to you, that's what you could do, and only that. And so it was a this far and no farther type law. It was not a law that was promoting the concept of revenge. The law was not promoting the concept of revenge. The law actually promoted the concept of forgiveness. But due to God's understanding of human sinfulness, at the time, he worked Eye for an Eye into the law to make sure that there would still be people around.
Oh my gosh.
Because we would go overboard. And this is exactly what you see with Israel-Palestine right now. Like, the Israelis were attacked on October. They were attacked. But I was watching an Israeli today on Piers Morgan. He says, what happened to us does not justify what's happening to these people. Like, it's too overboard. And that's really what Eye for an Eye is designed for. It's designed to curb, the genocidal instincts of a nation, for example.
Yeah.
And when they say, look what happened to us on October 7th, now everybody can say, yup, and you've gotten your pound of flesh, so stop. That's what Eye for an Eye was. It wasn't, oh, this was done for you, let's absolutely go down there and do this to the other person. It wasn't that. It was, okay, stop now, because this is as much as the person harmed you. We can't let you go overboard. We can't let you exceed the limits, because we know you're going to want to, and we know that you have the power to. So it's a way of curbing the powerful from going overboard on people who couldn't defend themselves. So, but if you plug it back into the song, it's kind of one of those, like, nihilistic, sort of like, well, humanity is just going to spread destruction and death across the earth anyway, so if a supernova takes us out, then no problem. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Here the seething curses lie, and there's nothing to find. Like, that's it. Everybody's dead. All the people that were creating all this mischief and all this trouble, you know what I'm saying, on the planet, the universe doesn't have to deal with it anymore because I just vaporized everybody. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Indifferent gods above, carving out the divine trees, indifferent gods above, burning feels like a summer breeze.
So they don't care.
Yeah, so it's just a...
Right. So all these people are dying, all these people are about to die, they don't care. The gods know, they're not ignorant gods, they're just indifferent. They just don't care. They don't intervene. Right? Which kind of goes to the previous standard. Look at all this blood being shed upon the face of the earth. Nobody's intervening there, so God's not going to intervene. And then it goes back to 10,000 dreams, 10,000 screams. It's a very kind of dystopian, anti-human message. But I understand it, considering, the world, especially right now, man. Like, you kind of have a pseudo omniscient view of the world because of the internet, and so you can see every instance of human suffering, or you could see what happens when people have a keyboard and there is going to be no direct accountability for the things that are said, and you see the type of people they become the absolute worst versions of themselves. They say the most absolutely horrific, terrible stuff that they would never say to a person's face, not even because of fear, as in somebody's going to beat me up, just because of the force of the image of God of the person in the room. They wouldn't be able to say a lot of the things that they say. But the internet has so you end up seeing the worst of humanity in the internet, both practically as well as psychologically. And I think a lot of people kind of are at the point now where they're like, okay, let's just get rid of all humanity. It's like, it's not even a left-wing, right-wing thing anymore. It's just like, some people are just looking at the project and going, you know what? It's not really worth the trouble.
Yeah, but that's because people are predisposed to look in a certain direction, or the algorithm feeds them something. So if you click a lot on the misery of the world around you, and like you said, you can look into any evil that's out there, then yeah, it's a pretty dismal picture, and it does make you start rethinking things. But if you see like the milk of human kindness and what that looks like when people are helping other people, or people, I was reading about with everything that's gone on over in Gaza, there two people, a man lost his entire family in a day, and a boy lost his whole family in the same day. And then they ended up meeting, and now he's taking care of the boy. Like, obviously both situations are absolutely horrific that this happened to these families, but then you see this like them being changed as people, and like the way that they were describing their love for each other. I don't know, it's just different ways that people will sacrifice themselves for other people to, like when you see those things and you start looking at those things, there's a lot of that out there. But you can absolutely get stuck in this black hole of information and opinions, and just people's darkness. So you can get caught up in all of that and think that that's all that's going on.
No, I agree. You definitely can. Like I said, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I understand why people would take that view. And I don't think it's the right view. I do think, though, that it's important for people to... The only good that I could see of this is, like, if you can allow yourself to not get involved in the fray, if you could just sit back and observe, you can learn very, very quickly what kind of person you want to be and what kind of person you don't want to be. You can learn... I think one of the things that's become really fascinating to me about the current period we're in, I was just listening to Kyle Kalitsky, who's he's an avowed secularist, and these two, podcasters had did an interview with Netanyahu, and people say what they want about the interview, but there's been a massive backlash about this interview with Netanyahu, and he's like, this whole moral relativism, hey, he can come in here and speak his truth and things like that. He's like, there's just some things that are just wrong. And it's like, interesting. So now we're starting to see that moral relativism is not the way to go. Now we're starting to see this whole your truth, my truth thing actually has some pretty terrible ramifications. And now we're starting to see that maybe we should impose morality onto the unwilling at times. It's very, very interesting. So that's one of the things that the internet has done well, especially in the social media age, is really destroying this idea that morality is subjective. It really does destroy it, because the main people that were saying that morality is subjective all of a sudden now have a very objectivist and realist understanding of morality, considering some of the things that they've had to see face to face, particularly with this Israel stuff. All of a sudden now, morality becomes extremely objective to the point where you shouldn't even talk to certain people. Interesting. So that's a good thing, I think, because that will lead you logically to a certain place. And I think one of the things that's happening is I think secularism as a philosophy is getting deconstructed right before our eyes. And I think that's one of the issues, is that I think secularists are starting to figure out that, wait a second, we do not have a worldview that can withstand things like a hardcore Islamic ideology that believes that they should be able to take over certain environments and colonialize certain environments, using those environments as own constitution against those people. A postmodernist sort of everybody has a right to their own truth. Well, they're starting to feel the ramifications of that. And I think also secularists are looking at this other group of people saying, well, what if it's my truth that we're superior to these people and we should take all their shit and kick them out of their land? What about that? And secularists are like, well, no, not that either.
Yep.
So it's like, well, which is it?
Exactly.
Because you can't have it both ways. It was very convenient when they were able to relativize morality for the deviancy that they wanted to engage in. But now that they're dealing with other deviants, now it's a problem, and we need to objectify morality. That's very, very interesting. Okay. What do you got? What do you rate it?
This 8.2 for me on this one.
I'm gonna give this one a solid 9. Solid 9.
Solid 9.
Shout out to the colonizers.
All right, so up next is another song for Miserybiz. This one is Domhain.
Domhain or Domain?
The Mourning Star is the name of the song. He says this song is from a very promising post-black shoegaze band from Northern Ireland.
That sounds promising.
They're quite new on the scene, formed in 2021, and only one EP published. Let's check it out, you guys. The Mourning Star.
The Mourning Star. Okay. All right. Let's timestamp this thing at 1:43.
Got it.
All right, guys. Here we go. The Mourning Star. Ben is telling us that it's morning. Spell it correctly. Spell it correctly. All right, guys. Domhain, the Mourning Star.
Oh, he wants us to know it's like morning, like.
Yes, let's check it out. Morning, like what? Like crying morning?
Yeah.
That's why I put the benchy thing at the bottom.
Morning.
Get the lyrics.
Yeah,
they can write, damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Blacken the flesh of the sun as the night forever falls. Talk to me!
Oh my gosh.
Talk to me!
I was like, spoiled with incredible picks tonight. Wow. That one was very balanced, I felt.
That is crazy. I love, first of all, that is really good writing, man. I just love good lyrics, and that was really, really good lyricism. Blacken the flesh of the sun as the night forever falls.
Oh my gosh.
Good freaking line,
Yes.
bro. Good freaking line. What's going on with you? It looked like you was having a party there. You were enjoying it.
Yeah, it was so good. Like it, you know, the vocal style, even I was getting into the way that they had, you know, kind of combined it, and then the instrumentation was like moving also. It just had like a, I don't know, it just had a place it was going and you wanted to stay right with it. And then lyrically, you know, some of it I was like, I feel like I'm understanding that. And then there was other stuff where, so like, whispering a lament, descending to the abyss, dark the ocean is, sink to its heart, dark the ocean is, lie underneath. Obviously, in the end, we're talking about like this. It seems like it's sort of this dystopian thing as well. Again, the blackened in the flesh of the sun, and the night forever falls. Night, moon rising, stars shining, all pale in the sight of the morning star. So I wasn't sure if we were talking about the morning star is this Satan? Because sometimes he's called the morning star. Is this
Jesus also called the morning star.
Jesus? Yeah. Well, I mean, I made it Jesus, obviously, because I really like the song. But what do you think the homeboy's talking about here? What do you think he's going for? Because we're basically repeating the same lines again and again. Well, the beginning gets repeated twice.
He says the ocean prays and we lie underneath. That's another good line.
The ocean prays.
Whispering a lament, descending to the abyss. Ocean prays and we sink to its heart. Ocean prays and we lie underneath. So it looks like maybe their ship capsized and they're sinking to the bottom. See what I'm saying?
Oh.
Whispering, descending to the abyss.
Okay.
The ocean prays as we sink to its heart.
Oh.
You know, you're sinking to the heart.
Whispering
heart of the
a
ocean.
lament, descending to the abyss, dark the ocean. And that is so obvious. Why was I trying to complicate it to that level? Sink to its heart, dark the ocean is, lie underneath. Whispering a lament. Yup. Ocean prays and we sink to its heart. Yup. But blacken the flesh of the sun as the night forever falls. Night moon rising, stars shining, all pale in sight of the morning star.
I think he's just talking about dying.
Jeez.
So, like, as your vision is starting to constrict,
Yeah.
it would blacken the flesh of the sun, as
Yep.
in you are blacking out. Right? So, your source of you yourself are blacking out, so everything gets dark.
Yeah, there's also that, like, I don't know if you've ever seen those things when they make it like somebody's drowning, like, it's eventually that the black closes up.
Yeah.
Because the sun is literally out of sight because you're so deep.
Yeah, it says as the night forever falls. But then it talks about the night moon rising, stars shining, all pale in the sight of the morning star. So I think that's the light that people see in their near-death experiences, that bright light that outshines everything else. I think it's just talking about the process of dying. You blacken the flesh of the sun, night forever falls, the night moon rises, the stars are shining, and then all the stars pale inside of the morning star because that's where you are, but it's a morning star because you're dead.
Okay, but then
So
when
there's
you go
mourning over you because you've died.
When you go further, it says, rise from the depth, from the world of slumber, screaming creaturess, crawl away from decay. Rise to the light of the morning star.
Yeah.
Rise to the light and create a new dawn.
Your spirit is rising up.
So there's
and
some
you're
sort of a resurrection thing going on here?
Your spirit's rising up. You're going to the next world. You know, in Christian theology,
Screaming
resurrection.
creaturess?
In Christian theology, resurrection includes your body.
Yep.
But in this resurrection, it's just talking about in my view, your soul ascending out of your body. Which, you know, the Bible talks about the first and the second resurrection. So there is something of a spiritual resurrection that happens to a person at death to a degree. Because it says in Revelation 20, they died, and then it says, and they lived is the anastasis is the word. So
yeah,
it's talking about the martyrs, and it says specifically, I saw souls. It doesn't say I saw resurrected bodies of people who live on the earth for 1,000 years with unresurrected people, you weirdos. And so I think it's just talking about a physical, a spiritual resurrecting. Screaming creaturess, that would be a female creature, crawl away from the decay, meaning your body, because your body is descending and decaying obviously under the water, but you're going up into the light.
Yeah.
Rise to the light of the morning star. And again,
Create a
like
new dawn.
people talk about that gigantic light that they walk towards.
Yep.
When they're transitioning to their near-death experience, which is really interesting. Because I've listened to, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, probably dozens, probably 50 near-death experiences, because I've got 2 books that chronicles them. And drowning was one where people talked about a good 30 to 40 seconds after the initial I'm gonna die, like right before they go, they feel an extreme sense of peace.
Yep.
And euphoria almost after the panic of drowning has subsided. And then they talk about being enveloped by this light and all the rest of it. And I was rereading one of those because I was dealing with the death of Malcolm Jamal Warner, or Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show. He recently died by drowning. And so I was just thinking about that, like what was going on with him. Like, he knew God, he knew Christ, but I was just thinking about what was going on with him, like, and I feel bad for his daughter, because she was there when he died. She got rescued by one of the locals, but they couldn't save him in time. But if all that stuff is true, and I genuinely believe it's true, I always think about that moment. That must be a hell of a moment. Like being panicked, being terrified, and then being enveloped by this peace and by all this light, and knowing like, all right, man, here you go. Phase 2. And I always wonder what like gets said to those people to make them okay with leaving their family behind. You know what I'm saying? Because it'd be very hard for me to be like, yo, I was just with my daughter. Be like, all right, I'm off to the next world now. See ya. Like, I'd have a very hard, like what is said to those people to make them, like, But then I think to myself, well, they're not in time, so it's very possible that they might just get introduced to their daughter and say, hey, here's your daughter. Let's go play. Go explore this galaxy, whatever. Because we're in time, but they're not in time. So that means there's a sense in which his daughter's already there. So that's probably why it's so easy to convince these people to go with them, because they're like, hey, look, here's your daughter here. It's like, what's the problem? All my people are here. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. But that's what I was thinking about when I was listening to this song. That's why it was like really hitting me, because it was like, it just sounded like a near-death experience, like a lot of the near-death experiences that I've been listening to, and it is cool to hear people talk about like, like I was enveloped by all this light and all the rest of it. Like, it's cool to think about.
Yeah. Oh, especially when they say that there was light that was so like tangible that it was actually love, and it completely surrounded them. And they when they describe it, like they felt like internally, externally, like surrounding them, like everything, like so much love, so much acceptance, so much warmth, that it's like nothing you've ever experienced before. So whenever they describe that, and you can just see like, a lot of times, our issue, like we want to, maybe we're different, but we want to have a crew. It doesn't mean that we want to have like a big giant crew, but I think we all want to have like a crew of people that are like us and we're like them, and we have an understanding. And so I don't know, like I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I got a little sidetracked. But
it's a 9.7 for me.
It's a 10 for me. This one was a 10.
I really, really enjoyed this song. Rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, damn it.
Yeah.
People are being ruthless to the homie Hulk Hogan, though. They're like, he died on the day that he...
Oh, boy.
I guess he had some racist rant where he used the hard ER. I guess one of his daughters was going out dating some black dude. Why you want to go with them niggers? And people are unforgiving as hell. That video came out like 10 years ago. People are like, he died to the day. I'm like, wow. Like, oh my God. I mean, like, gosh, like, he made a mistake 10 years ago. But, I mean, he died exactly on the day. What are you going to do, you know?
That is odd, though. Not gonna lie.
God has a sense of humor. Like,
I guess.
It's one last challenge. Like, can you forgive this man? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
even in death. The cancel culture is, even in death, they can't give the guy a break. My God, he's dead. Like, what more do you want?
That's so bad.
God's like, what more do you want? Just kill this nigga. What else do you need?
Not good enough.
Not good enough. God, give him a pow pow. Whatever. God Almighty. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, man. Jeez. So, some of these audiences are ruthless. Y'all heard about all the stuff they saying about my man Hulk Hogan? That racist bastard, blah, blah, blah. Don't blaspheme Hulk Hogan on my account, man. Jeez. It's a human being. Let the man live. Or, I mean, let him die. Good Lord. I just reacted to the video Dance with the Devil by y'all. Love y'all. What's up, Come the Zine? Come the Zine? Yeah, Hulk ripping off his shirt Hogan. That's what I'll remember him by. Exactly. God. Let the man have a break. Couldn't even wait for the man to, you know, be reposed. Have his time with the Lord. People start going after him. Good Lord. I don't know what the problem is. What is y'all's problem? Hating on my man Hogan. Yeah.
Where is he? Where is it?
I don't know. I don't know. It's probably in my pants somewhere. There's some gum down there. Remember that gum? All right, guys, here we go. We got another song coming for you, beautiful people. We'll dedicate this one to the Hulkster. The Hulkamania. You weirdos. Mad at my man Hulk Hogan. Get off my man Terry.
Okay. So we have Middle Earth's pick is up next. How do you say this? Skaldr?
Skaldr, I'm assuming.
Skaldr. To pierce this fading realm.
Ooh.
That's a good
Do
title.
we have lyrics? Is there Here we go.
About to read, but I will send you the lyrics.
All right, good. And let's go with 207 as a timestamp. Okay, 207. I loved his cameo in Gremlins 2. Hell yeah. Shout out to the Hulkster. I like all the media that has come out humanizing Ozzy, the Prince of Darkness. To me, he was like that Vincent Price was the Prince of Horror, taking the same concept. Not real evil. Yeah, man. Shout out to my man Ozzy. At least Ozzy's getting some love, but Hulk Hogan ain't getting no love. He got no love for the Hulkster. Y'all be hating. All right, let's go. Next song.
So we have Skaldr, formed in 2017, black metal, Virginia, USA. Our DJ Middle Earth says 2 songs, one from their first album, Scythe of Our Errors, 2020. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And the second from Samser of 2025. This is from Bandcamp. Comprised of experienced musicians offering their first representation in the heavier aspects of music, the group joined together to explore shared interests in the darker elements of expression.
Wow.
Continuing with melodious gloom of their debut album, Scythe of Our Errors, Skaldr beckons from the darkness once more with their sophomore record, Samser, a thematic observation of loss, devastation, and change. Samser reflects on how death and life, formation, and demise are bound in an inextricable cycle, each sustaining the existence of the other in perpetuity. Samser stands as both a tribute to to the foundational days of melodic black metal and a testament to Skaldr's voice within the genre. This album invites listeners to confront the beauty and inevitability of
Cyclical decay.
Beckoning them to join Skaldr into this journey through the shadows of life's perpetual transformations. Middle-earth continues. I had to dig out the CDs to get the lyrics for the stream, which is a bit of a buzzkill, as I was heretofore happily ignorant and just enjoying the excellent twin guitars, which I believe play in harmony at times. I find these aspects to be most enjoyable. Some of their songs have really long lyrics, and listening to the vocals, it seemed to me the vocalist was really wanting to say or sing something. The lyrics probably mean a lot to the band and are thoughtfully not just something I am interested in. Samser is my favorite album of 2025 musically, and the production by the August Dan Swano is excellent as well.
All right, guys, here we go. This is Skaldr.
All right. To
Skaldr.
pierce this fading realm, let's go.
To pierce this fading realm, and we did get lyrics. Thank you so very kindly for the person who produced the lyrics. Here we go. To
Digging
pierce
those out for us.
this fading veil by the band. my goodness gracious,
Is this up your alley?
Yeah. This is my shizna whizzle whizzle. This is the black metal. This is the black metal.
I figured it.
I am black and I like the metal. I like my metal.
So we had the theme again of like sort of like death, right? I wake up from immortal dreams to a dawn of emptiness, this shroud of earthly flesh. Now I know I must transcend mortality to pierce this fading realm.
Yeah. It looks like this one is more about a ritual though.
I'll pass the dark ritual of death's inner trial to die that I shall be reborn.
Yeah. I wake from immortal dreams to a dawn of emptiness. This shroud of earthly flesh.
Yeah. So it seems like in his death there is some sort of trial that takes place to decide whether or not he would be reborn.
Where do you see that?
I'll pass the dark ritual of death's inner trial to die that I shall be reborn. Or do you think he's saying
I think
death
is the
dark,
trial.
Yeah,
I think death is the
trial.
dark inner trial.
Yeah.
But he's saying I wake from immortal dreams to a dawn of emptiness. So it looks like whatever he was before he became in a body, he is saying was like a dream, and then finding himself conscious in a human body is the waking up from the dream. But he's woken basically to.
Oh, that's interesting. Really,
I wake from mortal dreams to a dawn of emptiness, this shroud of earthly flesh.
But he's dying, and so I thought I wake from immortal dreams.
Where do you get he's dying?
I just changed my mind, but
he's not dying at this point in the song.
I'll pass the dark ritual of death's inner trial. So I thought I wake from immortal dreams. I thought that was talking about his he was waking up from the life that he had before, but it says immortal dreams, so we would have mortal dreams. So then that's not going to work.
He's like in like as a spirit, he was here before, where he was a being, and then he gets basically trapped in a human body, this shroud of earthly flesh, and this world, the physical world, is sort of like a bad place to be. It's a dawn of emptiness. So he was in a dream state, and it was awesome, and then he found himself awoken in a dream state because he's now in a fleshly body again. So it seems like some sort of like Gnostic reincarnation type thing. See what I'm saying? Where it's like the physical world seems to not be a pleasurable place. You know, some platonism in there a little bit. The physical world seems to be like a bad place. It's a dawn of emptiness, and now he's shrouded in his earthly flesh. Now I know I must transcend mortality to pierce this fading realm. So in order to get back to what he was before he became a human, or before he became a man stuck in this fleshly existence, he's got to die again to return back to that state. Now I know I must transcend mortality to pierce this fading realm. Unto the shadows I offer my life, my crazing for dark demands more. I'll pass the dark ritual of death's inner trial to die that I shall be reborn. I gather the vestiges of Skaldr and Cinder. I'm facing the darkness alone. In blood I inscribe the invocations of my death and weave warded hexes of bones. The blood ink of viscera has now been painted on coals. I chant as I press to my brow. So it looks like
this is the ritual.
He like almost like disemboweled himself.
What?
And he painted it on the coals that he sets on fire, because it says
whoa.
the blood ink of viscera.
Yeah, what's that? Viscera.
I'm assuming it's like your intestinal, you know.
Viscera means intestines?
You know how you say visceral reaction? It's like from inside of you. So he's saying the blood ink of viscera has been painted on coals. So it looks like he got his own blood from his stomach, basically. I chant as I press to my brow, ignite the fire as the wards are cast down, step into the flames to transcend. As I dissolve, I'm becoming one with the majesty, the vastness grows. So he does this ritual, looks like he guts himself, puts the blood on the coals, takes the coals onto his forehead, and then steps into the fire.
Consumed
And
by
then
a
his
boundless
body is-
realm of
his
blackest energy. It
Body is
fills me now.
disintegrating, right?
I am gripped by a rage that's been held back for 1,000 years. I am fury and hate reborn. A pain so fierce, I'll tear this world apart. I'll return to end it all. I have returned to erase this world from memory, disintegrate. 9 runes of deception I carve in blood upon my brow. For now I see all. As I lose form, once cloaked in hateful memories, I absorb the great all. And as I melt into the sky, my sight expands as a quivering mist. My breath permeates the ether, and the solitude of vastness seconds. I know now that my moment of greatness rising higher in the sky, my darkness has taken its form.
Yeah. So
Wow.
he wants to only be a spiritual being.
Uh-huh.
And so and it's interesting because again, when I listen to people talk about their near-death experiences, it seems pretty clear that the body, particularly the brain, is more of an antenna of consciousness than a producer of consciousness. So you got all these waves that are out there, these radio waves, and then you have an antenna that can select between one wave and then make the contents of that wave intelligible. And so now you have a radio that projects and communicates all that information. So you have the antenna, which is the most important part because that's what gets a signal, and then the architecture of the radio itself is what translates the signal so you can hear it as music or as talk radio or whatever it is. So that's what the antenna does. And so I think the more I listen to near-death experiences, your soul, your ultimate psyche, all the non-material parts of you that makes you a person appears to be much vaster than what you and I are seeing from an individual. Right? And so what's happening is that the brain is attenuating all that information as to what your soul is and providing a sort of image, a physicalized image of what your soul actually is. But it's obviously not the complete aspect of all that you are. In the same way that an antenna doesn't have the complete aspect of the wave. It's taking that vast wave and discriminating and only communicating certain points so that we can hear an intelligible sound coming from the receiver. So that's what the brain does. The brain is taking something vast and then attenuating it so that it can be legible on this platform. But when you die, it's assumed that you go back to that vastness. And so people report blind people report being able to see things. Deaf people report being able to hear things, etc., etc. And there was one interesting case where this blind woman was able to describe everything that was in the room after her near-death experience.
Right.
It's like, how do you explain that? But one of the things that was fascinating is that she had 360 vision. And so they were trying to explain to her, well, we can only see going, in one direction, and then you have peripheral vision. But she had 360 complete vision of the entire room, and she was laughing at them. And she was basically saying, "You're pulling my leg." No, that's not how it works. Because her only experience of sight was this 360 thing.
Wow.
So when it was very fascinating because I'm like, she is disabled. She's unable to see. We are able to see. She then has this near-death experience, which then proves, well, actually, you're still kind of disabled because your vision only goes in this direction. It doesn't have the. She doesn't have. It doesn't have the full orbed sort of upgrade that she got when she was out of her body. So this guy's talking about becoming sort of a greater thing after his death, and it's really not that he's becoming greater or bigger. It's more of
A return to
the antenna is broken, and so now the wave is out there in its broadest sense,
Yeah.
right? And so this guy is
Yeah.
saying that when he dies, that's his moment of greatness, and he rises higher and higher into the sky. And also, what's interesting is that hate that he felt,
Yeah.
because he's in a unmediated, your body, connecting your consciousness to this particular body and all the things that come with it puts us in a situation where we're able to hide or cloak the true feelings that we have, because the antenna works so much that we can dissipate what signal we're pushing out to people. So you could genuinely hate a person, but because your emotion is being mediated through this physical wiring that we have, I can mask what that looks like.
Yeah.
So my body is mediating this emotion, and I can use that to my advantage. I could tell the spigot, okay, cut this off here. But what if everything you felt was actually where it was at, and there was no mediating principle? So people knew immediately if you were happy, sad, angry with them, whatever. People knew immediately what you were. That's what it's like when you're out of your body. That's why it says all the things in the dark will be brought into the light. There will nothing that will be unseen, etc., because once you're out of your body, you just have your pure essence and your pure truth, and there would be no mediating aspect of that to where you could hide it or rest of it. You're just out there. And so, because this guy was feeding hate and Satanism or whatever other ism it is, when he leaves his body, the hate becomes a lot more pure, and a lot more, and pure in the sense of it's not mixed with anything else.
Wow.
So, and this is another reason theoretically why hell is forever, in the sense that all the evil that's in your soul that you have been able to mediate through your physical body.
Oh, wow.
Because we have consequences on this platform for giving an unmediated ventilation to your soul. It's called prison, right? Because you end up killing people, all this shit. Okay, so all those things where you're holding back because you're able to do that on this platform. When you're disembodied, you're no longer able to hold back. So whatever you were, whatever is dominating the inside of who you are, boom, that comes out in complete purity when you're outside of the body, right? Because evil people are doing evil, and they do good accidentally, or they do good because they're forced to do so. But if evil is a dominant strain of what's going on inside of you, when the mediation is gone, then that is what's gonna define you, is evil. And that's why hell is forever, because the people that are in hell don't want to be anywhere else. And the same thing happens for good people. So it was just a very, very, very interesting song. A dragonfly can see in 360 degrees. There you go. Happy birthday, Amy.
Happy birthday.
For sure. I'm glad you're alive. Really, really good song. Really good song. I'm going to give this one a 9.6.
This one is a 9 for me.
All right, guys. We got one more song for you beautiful people.
The next one is the same band, Skaldr. The name of the song is The Cinder, The Flame, The Sun.
The Cinder, The Flame, and the Sun. Accidental Goodness sounds like an album title. Yeah. AT and I are going to be releasing a side project pretty soon. The Accidental Goodness EP. It's going to be about 4 songs. We continue.
All right. Well, in the meantime, let's check out Middle Earth's pick, being Skaldr, The Cinder, The Flame, The Sun. I'll take this time. 231.
Yeah, 231.
31. Let's go.
Is there any update or anything?
For what?
Any notes?
I don't think so. Yeah, because I'm on their original one. There's nothing here.
The Cinder, The Flame, The Sun. This is the band Skaldr. This was the Imperable Flames. This is the big homie Middle Earth. I am Vin. She is sorry.
sorry.
What do you guys know about that? Not
The cinder,
very
the flame,
little.
the sun.
From the smoke and mist, fire
like this. I feel like this band is like your thing. The way that the music goes.
Yes. I'm a big tremolo guy. Everybody
tremolo
knows
in there.
A lot
Yeah.
of tremolo in there. Everybody knows that about me, about Vinny.
So this one.
Hey, the bass guitar was the star on this one.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
That's probably one of the biggest benefits of having a channel like this is finally being able to differentiate between
those instruments like
the
that.
instruments, which seems pretty basic and sounds very basic to me now, but I needed everybody to guide us through it because we really didn't know. We really didn't know how to listen for that stuff back in the day. Back in the day, we've
Very
grown.
true.
We've grown. Thanks to all you people. How about some actually?
Yeah.
Actually, Vin, that was the bass.
Yep.
All right. Within the first nothing, a monolith mass compacted as a promise of hope and form. Compacted as promise of hope and form. And from this mold, fathomless, fire of all, the seeds were dispersed as an endless call. Okay, so this looks like some cult, some sort of religion where there's a monolith. You know those big monoliths out there?
Big massive stone.
Yeah, big
Okay.
stones that are like, they're gigantic,
Is
mega
that-
heavy, mega big, and it's like...
Is that like
what
the
does this
black
mean?
stone that people go over there and kiss it?
Well, no, that's like a little... Monoliths are huge.
What?
They're big.
The black stone is small?
Yeah, it's a stone, right?
Yeah, but I thought it was big. No, I'm talking about the one in Ireland.
You talking about Stonehenge?
I don't know. It's just a black stone. I thought that they went and they kissed it. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, kissing the black stone, that's definitely Islamic.
Yeah, I know, but they also did it when people went to Ireland on our mission thing. So
There's a black stone that people kissed in Ireland.
yeah, I thought so. I want to find out. Okay, go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. The seeds were dispersed in endless call, radiant concourse from silence to range, the cinder, the flame, the sun. Wheel with the rhythmic celestial blaze, drawn as an ember back to the flame. The triumph of life subsides to grave, from light to glow to ash, no light from the cycle, for all slips away. For under its course, night brings the day. It looks like, again,
Yes, Archero. That's what it was.
more of, it's a block of limestone built into the battlements of Blarney Castle.
According to legend, kissing the Blarney Stone gives you the gift of the gab.
Eloquence, charm, and persuasive speaking ability.
To kiss the stone, you have to lean backward. I was literally picturing my friend leaning back because I'm like, I thought she said she had a
Over a drop while handing on to iron reins.
kind of a dramatic little tourist ritual. Okay, so
But this sounds again like more like kind of like reincarnation, Gnostic, leave your body, go back to another body type situation. And this one, it's like the cinder goes back to the fire. So the
yeah,
fire is the sort of like home base. I don't know if in this guy's philosophy, like you go back to, because like, you know, Bernardo Kastrup, right? He believes that all of reality is mental. So there's an original conscious called the mind at large. And this mind at large, because it's undifferentiated in the universe, it splits up its consciousness into billions of other little consciousnesses so that it can figure itself out. So you are a disassociative alter of this mind at large, or one of its 8 billion split personalities, basically, is the idea. So if I think to myself, okay, how does this account for the concept of reincarnation or the phenomenon of reincarnation? It would basically be the mind at large is using your particular set of personality and memory, and he found it useful for figuring something out about himself, and so like he runs that program again. And so you at the lower level, you are experiencing that as reincarnation, like, oh, I was here before, etc., etc. Where in Kastrup's world, it's the mind at large saying,
Testing
oh,
things out.
this particular personality has figured out XYZ thing about me, so I'm going to run him again. Or run something very similar to it with this kind of tweak or whatever. And so that accounts for, it's just a little thought experiment using Castrup's idea of the mind at large. I obviously don't agree with it, but it makes a lot of sense. The Blarney Stone isn't black. The Blarney Stone isn't black. Yeah, I think it was a combination of the Blarney Stone and then the actual black stone in the Kaaba. But that was essentially the idea. But it looks like in this universe, like this reincarnation is like a really, really big idea. And so he's talking about it over and over again. What do you got?
Yeah. It did sort of, he said each collapse a cylinder, each spark to fire the smallest of greatest demise, an unbroken spiral. So when it sort of seemed like he was talking about, so he's talking about as it's collapsing in, like as everything is burning up, and you're talking about this is like one piece of the cycle. That's going around. Yeah.
For ages uncounted, incipient cloud, creation and birth in disarray, currents obscure shall weave the shroud, embellishing furious hope and decay. So there it is again. Ages uncounted, incipient cloud. I'm assuming is just humanity, or all of our basic consciousnesses, creation and birth in disarray. So this cycle, like I said, I don't know what because I think in Hinduism, reincarnation is a bad thing. You have to keep reincarnating until you build up enough karma to experience nirvana, where you're no longer reincarnated. Right? That's the idea.
Okay.
I think in the Hare Krishna idea, it's called liberation. When you get out of the cycle of reincarnation over and over again, that's what they
call it liberation.
Yeah, they attain that. Yeah, it's called attaining liberation or whatever. So, radiant concourse from silence to rage, the cinder, the flame, the sun. Wheel within the rhythmic celestial blaze, drawn as an ember, call back to the flame.
Imagine being in those
That's a crazy line.
Those places where it would be incentivized to leave somebody, like the caste system, you know what I mean? Like, well, these people, they're in their reincarnation, like they did something and they have to pay it off, so you can't save them from it, and just leave people where they are. Like, it's incentivized because it's almost like a holy thing to let them suffer so they can come back to whatever the truth is, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. And
like
I
religiously incentivizing leaving people in their suffering.
Yeah.
Like you said,
that's so crazy.
What's her face was doing too. Not what's her face, but
Which one?
The Catholic Mother Teresa.
Oh, Mother Teresa. Yeah, leaving the people to
suffer for crazy. Yeah. It's Middle Earth.
So the cinder, the flame, the sun.
He always has like lyrically dense stuff, like it's some depth to it and stuff. So yeah, I can see that.
That's an interesting line. The cinder, that block that is flammable.
Yep.
Then you have the flame, which is fire itself, like individuated, and then you have the sun, which is the source of all of that. So it just looks like it's using that as a cycle for the birth, death, reincarnation stuff. And at some point, if you combine that with the other song, because the other song I think is talking about like the heat death of the sun. Nirvana is for Buddhists. Hindus go to Goloka. Yeah, and my particular Hindu friend was a Hare Krishna guy. So his goal was to end up in Vrindavan and, serve Krishna forever. Like that was the ultimate for his particular strand of Hinduism. Of course, he would say that Krishna is the ultimate expression of the divine personality or whatever, godhood or whatever he says. Shout out to Hare Krishna. Yeah, so that's what it's talking about. I'm glad that I don't believe in reincarnation.
And you're glad why?
I would hate to have to come down here over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it. Yeah. That does seem like a pretty horrible fate. To keep coming here over and over again. I think they had what was it, the whole prison planet thing? Like, people get sent here because they're like prisoners and they have to do their time. So it's like having to come back here again over and over again would be a disaster to me. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I would not be able to handle it.
I do think it would encourage making different life decisions. You know, people get in a cycle
if you had to come back here over and over again.
Yeah, eventually you're going to be like, okay, let's mitigate the suffering here the best that we can. So I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go here. I'm not going to, X, Y, and Z. Or I will do X, Y, and Z.
If you knew you had to come back here?
Like, yeah, if you had to keep coming back, you'd want to figure out, okay, what's the algorithm here to have the best life possible? So you'd want to figure that out so that way you could mitigate some of the pain. So if it's like, hey, great old one, how are you doing?
What's up, Wings of Eternal Life? Good to see ya.
See what I'm saying? You'd eventually want to figure it out.
Yeah, but according to that construction, like, you're trying to get out of here as quickly as you're trying to get out of here so you don't come back here. It's like you wouldn't try to come up with different, like ideologies to make life here more comfortable. It's like, would you try to make prison more comfortable if you knew you had to come back for a year, or would you work on trying to get out of prison?
Yeah, but wait, no, we're saying that if you're going to have to keep coming back to Earth, you don't want to have to come back as a friggin' fly or a flea. You want to come back as something.
But no, you're trying not to come back to Earth, though.
Wait, so
it's not inevitable that you could work up enough karma to where you don't need to come back here.
Oh, well.
That's what they're trying to do.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because here is a prison. You're saying if it was irrevocable and you had to keep coming back here,
yeah,
then you would try to make the best of it. Got it.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Sorry to hear about your mom, Wings. That's terrible.
Yeah, okay.
But would you like that setup? Would you like a reincarnation setup,
No,
or do you like this setup?
I don't like that. But the thing is, it's not reincarnation, but it does have that sort of vibe to it when you think about, us rising from the dead, and that like we're gonna get a new body. And like the other night I was just thinking like, whoa, a whole new body. And even if the only thing that we got new was eyes, because you can't, these eyes and this body cannot withstand the glory of God, like we would disintegrate. So we are going to need bodies that are able to see the glory of God without completely disintegrating. And I was thinking like, wow, if the only thing that he gave me was like some eyeballs that I could just see the glory of God with, and that was all I got, like, those would be the most glorious eyes ever, like that they could just see God in more of his pure form and stuff. Like, how crazy that is. But he doesn't just give us new eyes. He's like the entire thing, like he's gonna give us a new body. And so I don't know, it's gonna be a crazy thing. Like, so we don't believe in reincarnation and you're gonna come back as a fly, but there is that sort of like, we don't believe like this is like a step in our spiritual phases. And so right now we're on Earth, and there is gonna come a time where we're gonna cross that threshold,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no coming back. So I mean, there's obviously like near-death experiences, but there's a crossover point. So
yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree. I definitely wouldn't want to come back here for sure. I'm glad that Jesus worked up all the karma necessary, so I only need one shot in this bitch, and I'm good. Thank you, Jesus. Grace trumps karma, inshallah. What do you got? What do you got for this one?
9.
I'm going to give this one a solid 9.3.
I thought you were going to give it a 9.2.
This band is really interesting, man. Like, I wonder if that looks like it's a different record.
Yeah, remember he said they were doing,
which is even more intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it could be on the same record.
No, remember, 2 songs, one from their first album, Side of Our Errors, 2020, and the second one from, remember?
Samsara! Yeah, that's really interesting. So they got, apparently they've got, Samsara is, that's Buddhist, isn't it? Isn't Samsara Buddhism, Amy? Yeah, so I'm very interested to see how this ideology plays out in their music, because it's a big part of their music. They find a lot of inspiration from it. I think that's so interesting. The whole reincarnation thing has been a very fascinating idea to me, but it's always been a less than exciting prospect to me. I doubt Jesus worked up karma for us all. Oh, but he did. Okay. What an interesting idea.
What aspect?
Well, just that reincarnation as an idea could gin up a lot of inspiration for music and musicianship and things of that nature. That's very interesting. Samsara is Hinduism and then Buddhism. Okay. Makes sense. What did you give it? I gave it a 9.3. You gave it a 9.
Yeah, I gave it a 9. Wings of Eternal Night. I'll add you to my prayers. That's rough. Well, she or they said, I'm not doing okay. I lost my mom June 30th of heart failure. I've been in a depression.
Oh,
and then,
no.
Thank you. I'm scared. You guys have been crying every day. I don't want to fall into this depression. So, yeah, we'll be praying for you. Yeah.
All right, guys. Much love to all you beautiful people.
Yep. And so Wings of Eternal Night, don't worry. We're going to be praying for you. Come through. We're going to have more streams coming up. I think we have one either tonight or tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I think
waiting
we got
for
a movie
Franco.
or some other stuff going on. So we will let you guys know early and often when we're going to post, so you guys can all come and hang out with us. Thank you for spending your Friday with us, you beautiful people. This has been the Imperishable Flames. Much love to Middle Earth and the gang. Shout out to everybody who made it here. I really appreciate y'all. Look, gang, it's not lost on us, man. You guys could be doing a lot of other stuff on a Friday night. So for you guys to spend the time with us, we genuinely appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Vin out.